when you have to land under a tree and only for a couple of hours every day, you don't have knowledge to teach, to impart. So what can you teach? I don't know whether in another life there's so many people royalties. It's so egocentric that, oh, I can't do this. I can't be a waiter. I can't be a mechanic. I can't farm. I can't do this. I introduced Wajir South Scholarship for Teachers. We managed to attract a good number, almost 200 Alliance High School, Mango. Those were the schools that were much sought after. Somebody gets that opportunity on the silver platter, plus full scholarship to boot, and then wants to go back to Bimado, Diff, or wants to go back to Sabuli. We don't have enough teachers. I have visited schools where a Kiswahili teacher is teaching physics. A history teacher is teaching mathematics. But I've had moments when I really felt so good. Like the day we got water in Kul'ali, a place that has not had water for 60 years. Poor children used to get access to jobs because the system was not as corrupt as it is today. And I mean corrupt, You're looking so great and sharply dressed because you have hope. If you are without it, and you have nothing to live for. Mothers, desperate. Those children are being held by traffickers, being tortured on the phone as they listen to them, being sent pictures of their kids being tortured, including blood dripping from wounds on their backs.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another amazing episode of Mahdi Show. Today I'm honored to host a very special guest, Honorable Mohammed Adow, Wajir South Member of Parliament. Before joining politics, he had a remarkable journey in media, having worked with Al Jazeera and BBC, and now he's channeling the same passion into leadership. In this episode, we are going to explore the current status of education in Wajir South and what are some of the measures he's doing to make sure quality education is taking place in his constituency. We have students who scored bad grades, low grades for example, maybe 5 years, 6 years ago. And from there they de-schooled, they stopped learning. Now, during this trend, they went back, registered, now they got B's and A's, and they cannot read and write. The other one is, I go to villages. Recently, I met one of my nieces. I told him, I tried to converse with him. He's grade 4. I told him, what is your name? He said, yeah, my name is so-and-so. Then I told him, how old are you? He said, I was not taught. Grade 4. And his grandmother was with him. I told him, hey, does this guy go to school? He's like, for 4 years, every morning I wake up 5, cook for him. And for 4 years, he doesn't know how old are you. And I think that is just in the whole of Northeastern. I went to Gurar, I went to Mandera, all school I visited. Grade 3, 4.
It's the reality.
They cannot. And there was a recent study by some guys called Zizi Afrik and Usawa Agenda. They did some research on literacy. They said, nationally, 4 out of 10 of grade 4 learners cannot write a story of grade 3. In Northeastern, 2 out of 10 cannot read and write. So actually we have a
8 out of 10.
2 out of 10. Only 2 can read or write.
Yes.
So 8 of them cannot read the grade 4, cannot read grade 3. Grade 3 is story, English storybook. So that's why even M. Luga could have supported even my literacy, my multilingual books can also help to promote the literacy and numeracy because we have an issue
from the grassroots.
From the grassroots.
Exactly. I have a similar experience. I went to, during campaigns, I was passing through one of the settlements in the constituency. And I went into a grade 5 class that was on. And the teacher was actually teaching. And I spoke to the students in English. And beyond good afternoon, how are you? You can understand. A simple question like, where is your father? None.
Grade 5.
In the class. Grade 5. That's grade 5 class in Wajir.
Why do you think that's happening? Why do you have in poor grass, what do you call foundational level? Foundational literacy is a problem. Are we taking unqualified teachers to teach the PP1, PP2s? Is it the training? What's happening? Is it the language barrier because they are taught in English?
If the teachers are the same people who came through the same system, what can you teach? When you have to learn under a tree, and only for a couple of hours every day, and you lost your formative years, those foundational years, you cannot, you don't have knowledge to teach, to impart. So what can you teach? Those are the teachers. I'm not trying to cast aspersions on teachers, because there are fantastic teachers out there who are doing a great job. But I'm talking about a good number of these people are the people who came through these challenges. When the students in school, when the schools do not have facilities, and they have to share the little facilities, and creates that confusion where the student, after the subject, doesn't know whether he learned the lesson for the other class or for his own class, is an issue. When the curriculum is not being covered, because ultimately the teacher knows the students are going to cheat in the exams. That also becomes a calamity. So it's a number of things, and we need more concerted efforts between parents, teachers, educationists, and leaders. Come up with, ways to deal with these challenges, because if you want to wipe out a society, if you want to finish a society, just interfere with their education. Deny them education, basically. And if you want to build a society, give them good education. That's the cardinal difference between societies that have impact and societies that have no impact because they've not been given, that tool,
education.
Knowledge, education.
What are some of the, in your experience as an MP? I know people bring their grades to you, parents come, and I believe some parents are involved in cheating, because one of the guys who had a school, he told me.
Oh, they pay for it.
They pay for it, 15,000, 20,000.
Exactly.
One of the...
Gladly, actually.
Gladly.
Yes.
One of the, our principal was telling me, parents will come to you, tell you, do you cheat? If you say no, they take away their child for admission. They take it somewhere else. So I think parents also are complicit to this.
No, it's about their egos. It's about the ego. It's not about the child. It's not about the child's. It's about their ego. They want to brag in the village square that their son got an A or an A minus, which is not going to take anywhere. To stay in his house forever. In my naivety, when I first came into office, I promised scholarships for the leading girls and boys in terms of achievements and grades in the examinations. In both primary and secondary, full scholarship. And I did for the first couple of years, but I had to stop because reality dawned on me that those grades were not earned. Because the student, let's say, finishes primary school, gets admitted to Mango or Alliance or some of these good national schools. So the first year check is for that school. The student gladly reports. The next year, you're told, no, you make the check to that and that school in a rural area. The child has gone back to the rural area because he could not adapt to the high discipline environment and the learning environment in the national school. And I found that was unsustainable. If you go to, if you imagine, when we were growing up and, you get the opportunity to join Alliance High School.
Or a scholarship.
On a full scholarship. It's like, heaven on earth.
Yeah.
It was the most sought after thing. This high school, these national high schools, Starehe, what do you call, Alliance High School, Mangu. Those were the schools that we were much sought after. Somebody gets that opportunity on the silver platter, plus full scholarship to boot, and then wants to go back to
Bimado.
Bimado, Diff, or wants to go back to Sabuli Secondary School, for heaven's sake.
Yeah.
Where you're not going to get access to the laboratory for a good month because all the other classes, are using it. This is the reality. And as much as it might seem like a laughing matter, no, it's a very serious and solemn issue that must be dealt with. That's why I've put a lot of emphasis on giving these schools as many facilities as possible. Laboratories, more classrooms, just to ensure that the congestion and the lack of facilities is eased. And then once we are done with that, then we can have the luxury to build, storied, buildings in schools, as some would love, because, that's the fantasies. And then some of them are very well educated people who tell you, sujenge gorofa bwana. Sasa gorofa mimi niko na ardhi ya kutosha. Gorofa hujenga wangu mahali ambaye hakuna ardhi ya kutosha. Secondly, gorofa ya nini? I have so many schools that are lacking the most basic of necessities. I don't have the luxury to put 40 million in one school. I don't have that luxury. I mean, a dining hall here, a laboratory here, this here, a borehole here for the school, fine. But I cannot put more than 10 or 15 million in one school at any given time because the resources I have are so limited, and I have to scatter it around the constituency so that at least we're getting, to grow, at the same pace. So there we are. So many dilemmas, so many challenges.
So what's the way forward for the education system? Like, do you think there's a hope? Especially in personally right now, it's not even primary, tertiary schools. The other day I was in a podcast, I said, degree is just a paper. You take your son to a degree, to a university, he gets a degree, he comes jobless for 8 years, 7 years, because the quality is also not only for primary, even at tertiary level.
The situation,
so what's the hope?
The situation we have is untenable. It's untenable in the sense that the learners we're bringing through this system of education, first of all, do not have the wherewithal that's necessary for them to excel. This new CBC is coming up with even more challenges. We had so many challenges to begin with. Now we even have more challenges. The whole of this year, there were no Form 1s in the secondary schools. Classes were empty for those who have enough classes. But in the primary schools, there was a need for more
extra
classrooms.
Classes.
I mean, couldn't we come up with an ingenious way, to make use of those
and decongest the primary,
those facilities that were vacant, instead of investing so much on building more? On top of that, teachers. We don't have enough teachers. I have visited schools where a Kiswahili teacher is teaching physics. A history teacher is teaching mathematics. Because then there's a shortage of teachers. We don't have enough teachers. Now, when we have all these challenges, and we make, what are you doing to these young minds that are one time going to be, the generation that will be running Kenya? They are the leaders, and they will be the leaders at some point. What are you trying to come up with? It should have been more well thought. The provision of the facilities and ensuring that the people have the necessary, ingredients for the CBC to, and I don't want to rubbish it. We're on to good things, but I think it's
good on paper.
So knee-jerk in the way we're implementing it. Oh, let's do it. We're not thinking about the consequences it's having on the learners and the teachers and the community, because education, again, is a communal thing. We have to get it right. And I will gladly tell you right now, we haven't gotten it right. Yes.
Back to the shortage of teachers. I personally experienced that a lot of schools don't have even, some subjects don't even have teachers, like you said. And once you were sworn in up to today, I think you have done a lot of measures, and you have been very vocal about quality of education. What are some of the measures you have done to curb teacher shortage?
Look, as I told you, everything we have done so far is providing solutions. From giving water to communities that did not have water for 60 years, some 45 years, some 30 years and beyond. The lack of teachers in schools was a big problem. And apart from the occasional shouting match between the leadership of the region and the Teacher Service Commission, there was nothing else that we were putting on the table as the leadership of Northeastern. So when I came into office, and actually a month after, I introduced the Wajir South Scholarship for Teachers. At that point, teaching was one of the most, not so preferred professions for kids to pursue. But again, with, the incentive of having their school fees fully paid to begin with in the first batch, we managed to attract a good number. Almost 200, raised up their hands to say we will be the teachers. And the tragedy was the region was being used increasingly as a recruitment ground for teachers from other parts of the country who would only want to get into the books of TSC, and once they were in there, they would cry foul and say security and return back, to be posted to other places. It was more or less like a revolving door for teachers. And we had to bring a long-lasting solution.
Homegrown solution.
A homegrown solution and a way to ensure that teachers who are not going to flee just months after being posted were recruited so that they stayed at the schools. And we could only rely on the human resource we had at that point. And that's what we did. So, in essence, Wajir South and the teacher shortage will be a thing of the past, hopefully by mid next year, because that's when we're expecting almost 400 teachers to have graduated. 400 teachers to have graduated.
That's a good number.
Only this year, more than 100.
All sponsored by the
Wajir South, yes, or helped in great deal by the Wajir South Scholarship for Teachers. Some of them got 60% scholarship.
400 is a good number.
No, I mean, our shortage of teachers, we've opened a few more schools to cater for populations that did not have. So up to 350 will be ample for Wajir South. And the rest, we're happy to take them to other constituencies. And that, is influence for the people of Wajir South. Yes.
I think that's a good number. And I hope other also leaders can.
And they have followed suit. Other constituencies have also taken over. I mean, I know Major Adow in Garissa Township is sponsoring teachers.
What are some of the opportunities that are there for the vocation in your constituency, especially for the youth?
I mean, look, in its magnanimity, the Kenyan government has established at least a Tvet, or technical and vocational training college, in almost every constituency in the country. But I don't think we have grasped, the importance of these institutions yet. Because I don't know whether it is being so steeped in cultural attitudes that see work done physically as, lower than. But the fact remains that the playground is not as level as it used to be before. There is a glut in the job market. Too many degrees, too many master's degrees, too many PhDs.
And zero skills.
And again, whereas before, at the time I was growing up, for example, you're a young man, you may not understand this. If you got educated, you stood a chance as long as you were good at what you did or what was needed, or you had good grades. And you didn't need, to be taken through the process by a politician or to be from a well-renowned family or anything. Poor children used to get access to jobs because we didn't have as many educated people as we have today. But also the system was not as, corrupt as it is today. And I mean corrupt, Yes, there was corruption. It was far less and manageable than what it used to. The free-for-all we have today. It's not like that anymore. So a degree and good brains and could, sentence you to life in your mother's home. And that's why the Tvets are there to bridge the gap. Go and learn a skill.
How's the adoption so far? I know there's a
It's not been without challenges, but this community attitude is the biggest. I don't know. I don't know whether in another life the Somali people were royalties. That I don't know.
Egocentric.
It's so egocentric that I can't do this. I can't be a waiter. I can't be a mechanic. I can't farm. I can't do this. And that is having a huge impact on, the take-off of Tvets in Northeastern. But we're trying to sweeten the deal. Like in my constituency, no tuition fees is paid. You bring your child, and we're going to give you education free of charge. We also,
I believe
paying
Tvets is
through the
devolved,
national
right?
government
CDF
CDF
is
bursary.
devolved. It's for the county mandate.
Yeah, but again, nothing comes out of the county. You know that very well. Don't get me started. That's a whole different jungle there. If people are unable to repair boreholes, and pave roads, will they be funding Tvets? So it becomes the sole responsibility of the member of parliament to see that the Tvets take off. While we have the teachers, we have the equipment, we have the wherewithal, the problem is we're not getting many enthusiastic students wishing to take advantage of this knowledge that's available in these Tvets. But increasingly, with incentives here and there, including even, scrubbing the fees, we're getting, slowly. And hopefully when the generation that's passed through, the different tranches of students that have passed through these institutions are seen, outside building houses and repairing cars and installing electricity in houses. Only then, what we need is a good group of people who are role models for the rest of society to see.
To change, to have a mindset change.
Mindset change. That's what we're looking at.
And there's another trend nowadays. I don't know if it's available. It happens in your constituency. I don't know in English. Tahrib. What do you call it in English?
Oh my God!
In Garissa, every mosque I pray at. After every prayer, the Imam says, "So and so son is now
being held captive
and
being tortured,
and they are paying more than 4 million. So the parents will end up selling their humble home." Is that a challenge in your constituency? It's a story of another.
A big challenge. It's probably one of the most, the highest on the list of things that I encounter. Mothers desperate. Those children are being held by traffickers, being tortured on the phone as they listen to them, being sent pictures of their kids being tortured, including blood dripping from wounds on their backs. It's the most inhuman thing, by the way. And again, I've had the opportunity to cover these migration routes and what goes on there. I've gone through Sudan, through Dongula, the desert Sahara, the Sahara Desert, and then into Libya, Benghazi, all the way to Tripoli, and then again on the Mediterranean from Tripoli or any other of those towns that are on the Mediterranean coast and into either Malta. Malta is not their destination, the preferred destination, but sometimes, when they see the lights of Malta, which is just an island, just before you reach Italy, they think they've reached Italy, so they just go in there, and there are so many underground prisons where thousands of African migrants are still being held up to today in some of the most deplorable conditions. And there are no ways to reach. People think some of their relatives are dead, and they might be lacking and languishing in Maltese jails. The idea is to get to Italy and then into mainland Europe. I've passed through that. I've also passed through this route, Ethiopia, then Djibouti, across the Gulf of Aden into Yemen. I've done that. I've also done the route through Turkey, the Aegean Sea, into Greece, particularly Lesbos, and those other islands where people prefer to land, and then on to Athens, Thessaloniki, and then at the border of Macedonia and Greece, Idomeni. That's where I've gone all. There's nothing more horrendous than being in the hands of human traffickers. They are the most inhuman people, the way they torture people. And again, they don't tell these children, mostly, these young people who are migrating in search of hope. And hope is an emotion, a universal emotion that no one can live without. Today, you are interviewing me today, you're here, you're looking so great and sharply dressed because you have hope. If you are without it, then you have nothing to live for. So what these children are choosing is hope. And most of this appeal is created by people who are living in the West. Maybe living some really bad lives. Because, they are taking pictures in nice places and
nice
trying to fit in the social media generation. Standing next to a Ferrari that doesn't belong to them, or eating in a restaurant, where maybe they can afford the meal there, on a week's wages, all that. That is what is chasing these kids too. And the danger of it is these traffickers do not alert the people they are trafficking to the dangers they're facing. For example, in crossing, the desert from, Dongula side or from the Sudanese side, it depends. 6 months of the year, during 6 months of the year, the desert is fine weather. I wouldn't say cold, but, not that extreme heat, Cold at nights, but very bearable during the day. And those are the months to cross the Sahara. When you cross during those cold months, as they call them, and get to Libya, the Mediterranean Sea is very rough during those months. So you need time to settle on the ground and wait for the sea to calm. But what they do is, they don't care whether it's the heat season in the Sahara or the cold season in the Sahara or the rough seas time in the Mediterranean or, the calm they want to make a quick kill, so they take the kids through the Sahara in the middle of the heat season, and again, no landmarks, no trees to speak of, just sand dunes, each one looking like the other. And
Miles
again,
and miles
because of
away.
the heat, breakdown of vehicles are more than common. So you see vehicles carrying migrants breaking down in the Sahara, and then people walking and trying to make the rest of the journey by foot, and then getting lost because you look this way is sand dunes, this way is sand dunes, ahead sand dunes. Did you come from this way, that way, or this way? And then getting lost and just retracing your footsteps, and eventually you die of thirst because the only water available is all that you can carry in your hand. That won't last you in that heat. So many people have died on that strip. And then again, on the Mediterranean end, not caring whether the seas are rough or not, putting migrants in dinghies. And you know, we're not talking about proper boats, we're talking about inflatable, you know, rubber boats, and then packing them, you know, like tin sardines, you know, on the boat.
That's literally suicidal.
And they don't care. And you know what? No one is representing the trafficker on that journey.
They're on their own.
They just give them a compass and say, keep these to north and just keep moving. What if the engine fails? They keep on, you know, dancing on the sea until their food runs out and the water runs out and they all die. Or sometimes they just capsize and, you know, are finished. So again, we've lost so many young and promising lives on that stretch. That is tahrir for you. Yet, in our villages, are middlemen working with these traffickers.
That's what I was coming to.
Right under the noses of the authorities, looking and seeing, that's Abdinur's son. Yeah, his father can afford to pay the ransom money very quickly. So let's trick him. Oh, we are not going to charge you anything.
You go there and then you
It's
pay.
free of charge. You know, just come with us. We take you through this route. And, you know, maybe in 2-3 weeks, you will be calling your parents from London. You'll be calling your parents from Paris. Okay, Paris is not preferred. That's why you have the crisis in Calais with people trying to cross the English Channel from Calais to Dover. The problem is
the middlemen are
we are not dealing, as Kenyan authorities, we are not dealing with these middlemen. They are in our midst. They are the cancer that is, you know, causing all these problems. And the middlemen who are funding this illicit and very inhuman trade. And I talk to my constituents and tell them, look, please, you know, be more aware of your children and their surroundings. Be friends of your children, so that you just don't realize when your child, you know, you get a call from Benghazi, is when you realize your child is missing. I mean, he's been missing. He hasn't called you for 3 weeks, and you're telling me you just realized your child is there. Oh no, he was in Nairobi visiting a friend or a relative. No. Be more aware of your children, because nowadays there are these vampires who are feeding off the blood, sweat, and tears. I've known so many mothers who've been forced to sell the houses they were living in.
The only house.
The only house. Or sell the only business that they were feeding their families with. Or, you know, that was just the only source of income. So it's impoverishing further an already impoverished society. And I have no words to describe it.
And in Garissa,
it
is so public that we are told, it's a public domain, we are told they recruit young ones from the playing fields. They go to where they play football, they park their cars, that car is known, the owner is known. So whenever they're playing, they just come and recruit,
No, no,
even
no.
from the fields, and they are
They
known.
are people who know you, who know your economic status, who know that you own at least a couple of plots of land, or that land you're living in, that house you're living in can fetch enough.
Yeah.
So what are they? They're vampires, feeding off the blood, sweat and tears of others. And no parent is so hard-hearted that they can listen to the cries of their child on the other end of the line, crying every day, Daddy, what's happening? Why are you not paying these people? And again, once they're released by those middlemen, there is absolutely no guarantee that they're going to reach there safely, because the sea awaits. And
the prisons.
again, no, it's not just that. It is these Libyan tribes people living in these towns who still believe in enslavement of people. I have seen in Benghazi people in chains, enslaved in modern day, and working
In farms.
So they are fed, and they sleep there where they're chained, and it's only when they're being taken to the farms to till. And it's also very common in Yemen as well. They use them to herd the sheep and goats in the mountains. Sometimes in exchange for food or nothing else. So why are you a free person in your own country, in your home country, in search of a job that might never materialize, risk your life, only to be enslaved, Sometimes, and then the girls also, the amount of abuse that goes on, with women who are being trafficked is another level altogether. So it saddens me now that with all my experience in dealing with all this trafficking and all covering the stories of human traffickers, it's now a reality for me to be the leader of a community that is facing an onslaught of traffickers and middlemen who are stealing our children from under our very noses. And I really blame the authorities for not doing enough to flush out these middlemen.
What's the role of now the leaders and elected leaders because I think there's a gap in terms of the
civic
authorities.
education, that's all we can do.
What about the authorities?
The authorities can investigate and identify. There are a great deal of young people who failed to go through this, who returned. They know who are the ones who recruited them, and they're within the society. Let them speak out. The society knows some of these middlemen. The refugee camps is where they're mostly coming from. The refugee camps are where they usually are hounding young people, taking, the poor people living in a refugee camp with nothing. Again, smacked with fines as much as 2 million shillings. Where will they bring them? The only avenue out for them is to appeal to friends and well-wishers. And there is some sort of fatigue setting in when it comes to these cases. That many times you hear people, raising their hands and say, no, don't tell me anything about trafficking, because they've paid for so many. Yeah. It's yeah.
Mheshimiwa, if we don't stop it here, I think we'll speak until tomorrow. There's a lot of issues. Finally, maybe what message would you like to give the youth in Wajir South, both student and aspiring leaders, about power of education and personal growth?
To young people in Wajir South, I'll tell them, you have to dream. To be ambitious is the thing that brings about success. You must know where you're heading. Focus and make sure that you don't joke in your formative years when you're supposed to educate yourself, and make sure you take your education very seriously. And again, the days when you looked at education as, a way to a job is long gone. Think about alternative things that you could do.
Soft
Get
skills
educated.
and digital skills.
Get digital skills. Read widely. Be more, streetwise. And technical skills. Technical skills. I mean, having lived in the West, having traveled in the West, you see people having a niche. The guy, you see somebody who's a plumber, and he has his van, he has his, address and telephone number online, and he gets called, and he builds a reputation until they become the go-to people for those kinds of services. And slowly, you start from, a very low position, but then you grow until you have your own firm that is doing that work that you specialized in. So it doesn't mean that you only have to do white-collar jobs, In this world of today, in this very competitive employment market, in this very skewed system that we have, where corruption is rife, even in getting jobs, let's have a change of attitudes. And again, let's be smart about how we do things. We just don't do things because this is how they were traditionally done. Think outside the box. That's what I'll tell them.
Lastly, what are some of the proud moments or the achievement that makes you smile while for the last 3 years? I know there's so many, but just few.
Must admit,
Yeah.
they're not enough. But I've had moments when I really, really felt so good. Like the day we got water in Kul Ali, a place that has not had water for 60 years. 60 years. Or the day when I got in the budget for electrification of Lagbol, or when I got the mini grid station in Dadajabula, which is soon to be constructed, or when Safaricom Foundation rang me and told me that the water project for Kursi was approved, or the first graduation of the teachers that I sponsored.
How many graduated?
About 45 graduated on that particular graduation from Mount Kenya University.
And they're now posted to schools.
Every graduation we're getting more. Yeah, almost all of them absorbed in the system. So there have been many occasions, but not enough. Not enough, I must say. Yeah.
Thank you so much, and keep up doing the good work.
Thank you very much.
And may Allah help you. It's not an easy job, I know, serving thousands of people. And from Mahdi Show, we just wish you good luck. And I hope and pray that you'll keep doing more, especially in terms of education.
Yeah.
Especially the foundational literacy.
That
and
is my
numeracy.
passion. That's
Yes.
my passion.
Yes,
Yes.
that is where we are getting wrong. So I hope you will support
Inshallah.
the foundational literacy.
Absolutely.
Because once we have a very good foundation, that's why we said last time, like you said in the beginning of on the interview, the old men who graduated in 1970s, 60s, they are class 5 dropouts, but they speak better English than even our graduates from university right now. They are more enlightened
Exactly.
and more smart.
Yes.
Yes. So please.
And that's what we need.
Yes.
That's what we need. And then this inward-looking mentality where student studies in a primary school in his locality, and then studies in a secondary school in his locality. The teachers he knows are, the ones who are living next door. And it's only at the point of university, if at all they get the chance to join university, that they get to see people from other walks of life. You can imagine the culture shock that child faces in university, and how hard it is for him not just to acclimatize but get along fellow students. So we need exchanges of students, like, deliberate measures put in place, agreed between teachers and students and parents and even the leadership, that no student gets admitted in the secondary school in their locality, and that would have even created better cohesion within society. Anyway, as you said, we'll speak until tomorrow if we continue.
Yes.
So thank
Maybe
you.
last one. Last one. This one, I probably this is the last one. At the end of your tenure, in terms of the education, how is your vision like? What do you want to accomplish? At the end of your 5 years, you say, this is what I want to accomplish in the education space.
Ideally, and this is what I've been aspiring for, and also working on, which is my vision, is more girl child education.
Okay.
We've established 5 new secondary schools.
For girls?
For girls. We had 2, now we have 7. And I deliberately put those schools there to ensure that the huge, dropout rate of girls is dealt with. Our parents don't want to take their girls far away from them. So when they get schools, in Wajir or Garissa, they tell them, no, stay home. And the girl doesn't get education beyond standard 8. So deliberately put in the 7 wards, every ward headquarters has got a girls' secondary school. This to ensure that the parents get more confidence to send their girls to school. Girl child education, what I want to see is more facilities for schools that are existing, more facilities for schools that are existing to ensure that the children get a better learning environment than they already have. And above all, more facilities for the schools. And more teachers in the schools. A resolution to the teacher shortage. And ideally, I would like to see an end to cheating before my 5-year term is over. Yeah. And we'll need your prayers and with that, and your support.
You have your presence.
An end to cheating.
And if you need maybe technology intervention in the classrooms,
absolutely.
I'm the right person.
Why not?
Yes.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much, yeah.
Have a great time.
Yes.